The crystal walls of Nexus Prime gleamed under three purple suns as the most powerful beings in the galaxy gathered for their monthly council meeting. Commander Vexstar adjusted his golden armor and flicked his forked tongue across his razor-sharp teeth. The reptilian leader of the Scaled Empire had ruled over 200 star systems for the past 5 centuries, and today he was bored, very bored. The floating council chamber hung suspended above a sea of liquid diamonds that reflected the light from distant stars, making rainbow patterns dance across the walls. Queen Zilnara buzzed her insect wings impatiently as she waited for the meeting to begin. Her compound eyes shifted between colors, showing her annoyance at having to travel so far from her hive worlds just to discuss boring administrative matters. Lord Morthak drifted into the chamber as a cloud of glowing green gas that slowly took the shape of a humanoid figure. The ancient being had existed for over 10,000 years and had seen the rise and fall of countless civilizations. Nothing surprised him anymore, or so he thought. Today was different, though. Today they had discovered something new. The holographic display in the center of the chamber flickered to life, showing a small blue and green planet orbiting a yellow star in what the galactic maps labeled as Sector 7, an unremarkable corner of the galaxy that most species ignored. The planet looked peaceful, with white clouds swirling over vast oceans and green landmasses. Commander Vexstar laughed a sound like grinding stones that echoed through the chamber. "Look at this pathetic little world," he said, pointing one clawed finger at the spinning planet. "They call it Earth, and the creatures living. They think they are the smartest beings in the universe." Queen Zilnara clicked her mandibles together in amusement. "Show us these creatures," she commanded. The display zoomed in to show cities filled with tall buildings and strange vehicles that moved on wheels instead of hovering like proper technology. Should small bipedal creatures with no scales, no exoskeletons, and no natural weapons walked around completely defenseless. "The beings call themselves humans," said a mechanical voice from the chamber's computer system. "They have only recently discovered how to split atoms and have not yet achieved faster than light travel. Their most advanced weapons are crude chemical explosives and primitive nuclear devices." Lord Morthak swirled closer to examine the images. "These humans are fascinating," he said in his echoing voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. "They fight each other constantly over resources, territory, and invisible concepts they call religion and politics. They have divided their single planet into nearly 200 separate nations that cannot agree on anything." Commander Vexstar snorted with derision. "Typical primitive behavior," he said. "They waste their energy fighting themselves instead of working together. No wonder they have made so little progress. They still burn fossil fuels to power their machines and think their fastest spacecraft are impressive when they can barely reach their own moon." The display showed images of human cities at night glowing with electric lights that seemed impressive to the humans, but looked like flickering candles compared to the energy sources used by advanced civilizations. Human factories pumped smoke into their atmosphere while their people crowded together in metal boxes they called cars that moved slower than a reptilian warrior could run. Queen Zilnara studied the biological data, scrolling past the images. "These humans live for less than 100 years, she observed. How can such short-lived creatures accomplish anything meaningful? They barely have time to learn basic skills before they die of old age. Their bodies are fragile with no natural armor or weapons, and they require constant consumption of organic matter to survive." The most amusing part, said Commander Vexstar, is how they think they are ready for contact with other species. They send radio signals into space hoping someone will answer, and they even launched primitive probes beyond their solar system. They have no idea how dangerous the galaxy really is. Lord Morthak absorbed this information while considering the possibilities. "These humans might serve as excellent test subjects," he suggested. "We could study how primitive species react to advanced technology. It would provide valuable data for future encounters with other developing civilizations. The idea appealed to Commander Vexstar, who was always looking for new ways to demonstrate the superiority of his empire. We could send a small expeditionary force, he said. Just enough ships to overwhelm their primitive defenses and capture some specimens for study. It would be good training for our younger officers who have never faced real combat. Queen Zilnara agreed that her warrior drones needed practice against living targets instead of training simulations. A few human settlements would provide excellent hunting grounds. She decided her species had not had a proper war in decades, and the soldiers were getting restless. The three leaders began planning their approach to Earth completely unaware that their conversation was being monitored by sensors they could not detect far below the surface of Nexus Prime in chambers that existed in dimensions the aliens could not perceive human. Observers recorded every word. On Earth, in a laboratory hidden beneath the busy streets of Seoul, a young scientist named Daeho worked late into the night, surrounded by equations and blueprints that would have shocked the Galactic Council if they had known such things existed. His dark eyes reflected the glow from multiple computer screens as he made final adjustments to calculations that dealt with forces beyond normal physics. Daeho paused in his work to stretch tired muscles and glance at the clock on the wall. 3 in the morning again. He thought to himself, wondering if he should go home and get some sleep. But the work was too important, and time was running short, according to the messages he received from monitoring stations. Around the world, his laboratory looked ordinary enough to casual observers with white walls covered in charts and shelves filled with scientific equipment. But hidden behind false walls lay technology that operated on principles the Galactic Council had never imagined: machines that could manipulate matter at the quantum level and computers that calculated probabilities across multiple dimensions. Captain Sora sat in the command center of Korea's primary space monitoring facility, watching displays that tracked every object moving through the solar system. Her trained eyes noticed the unusual readings appearing on the deep space sensors 3 days ago, strange energy signatures that matched theoretical models of faster-than-light travel. She leaned forward in her chair, studying the data more carefully. The signals were definitely artificial, and they were getting stronger, which meant whatever was generating them was coming closer to Earth. Captain Sora had been preparing for this moment her entire career. But now that it was happening, she felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. General Hwan received the urgent message in his underground command post buried deep beneath the Korean mountains, where massive computers processed information from surveillance networks that spanned the galaxy. The general had gray hair and calm eyes that had seen many things most humans could never imagine. "The time has come," he said quietly to his staff as they gathered around the central planning table. "Everything we have worked for over the past 50 years will be tested in the coming days. Make sure all units are ready and remind them that the future of human civilization depends on how well we perform high above in the crystal chamber of Nexus Prime. Commander Vexstar, Queen Zilnara, and Lord Morthak finalized their plans for what they believed would be an easy conquest of a primitive world. They had no idea they were about to make the greatest mistake in galactic history. Stage was set for a confrontation that would change the balance of power throughout the universe forever. The alien invasion fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system, with all the confidence of predators approaching helpless prey. 3 massive motherships, each larger than Earth's moon, hung in space like dark metal mountains, bristling with weapons that could crack planets in half. Commander Vexstar stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the small blue world through the viewing portal. "How pathetic," he muttered, as his red eyes studied the primitive planet below. "They have not even noticed our arrival yet. These humans are even more backward than our scouts reported." Queen Zilnara hissed from her command ship as thousands of her warrior drones prepared for battle in the launching bays. Her insect soldiers sharpened, their claws and tested their acid weapons eagerly, anticipating the hunt that was about to begin. The humans would provide excellent sport for her children who had grown soft from years of peace. Lord Morthak drifted through the corridors of the third mothership as a cloud of poisonous gas that could kill organic life with a single breath. His ancient mind calculated the most efficient ways to harvest human specimens for experimentation. Perhaps these creatures would prove more interesting than the last 12 species his forces had conquered. On Earth, Captain Sora sat in her fighter cockpit deep within a hidden launch bay carved into the side of Mount Fuji. Her hands moved across controls that looked simple but contained technology, beyond anything the aliens had ever seen. The young pilot had trained her entire life for this moment, and she felt her heart racing with anticipation rather than fear. "All units report ready for launch," she said into her communication headset as hundreds of other Korean pilots prepared their own fighters in secret bases scattered across the planet. The alien ships were impressive, but humanity had been studying their technology for decades through crashed probes and intercepted transmissions. General Juan watched the approaching alien fleet from his command center, buried 3 kilometers beneath the Korean mountains, where quantum computers processed battle data faster than organic minds could think. His weathered face remained calm as he gave orders that would determine the fate of 2 civilizations. "Remember the plan," he told his officers. "These aliens think they are dealing with primitive humans who have never seen advanced technology. Let them maintain that illusion until it is too late for them to escape." The alien fleet moved into attack position around Earth, expecting immediate surrender from the terrified humans. Instead, they received a simple radio transmission in perfect Galactic standard language. "This is Earth defense. Command, you have 30 seconds to leave our solar system or face the consequences." Commander Vexstar laughed so hard that his reptilian throat made clicking sounds echoing through his ship's bridge. "These humans think they can threaten us with their primitive weapons," he said to his officers. "Prepare the planet killer. We will destroy their moon as a demonstration of our power." The massive weapon charged with energy that could vaporize asteroids as it targeted Earth's natural satellite. But when the devastating beam fired, something impossible happened. The energy struck an invisible barrier surrounding the moon and reflected back toward the alien fleet like sunlight bouncing off a mirror. The redirected planet killer beam sliced through the hull of Queen Zilnara's mothership, cutting the massive vessel in half before anyone could react. Thousands of her warrior drones were vaporized instantly as their ship exploded in a brilliant flash that lit up the solar system. The Queen herself barely escaped in a life pod while screaming orders for her remaining forces to retreat. "What just happened?" Commander Vexstar demanded as his ship's sensors tried to analyze what they had witnessed. The humans had somehow turned their own weapon against them, using technology that should not exist on such a primitive world. On Earth, Deho smiled as he watched the readings from his quantum manipulation device. The alien weapon had been easy to deflect once you understood how to bend space-time around the target. His research team had spent years developing shields that could turn any attack back on its source. Captain Sora launched from her hidden base as alarms wailed throughout the alien fleet. Her fighter looked small and fragile compared to the massive enemy ships, but appearances could be deceiving. The Korean pilot pushed her throttle forward and felt her craft accelerate beyond the speed of light without entering hyperspace. The aliens watched in horror as the tiny human ship moved in ways that violated every law of physics they knew. It phased through solid matter like a ghost teleported across space in the blink of an eye and fired weapons that seemed to predict where targets would be before they moved there. "Impossible," muttered Lord Morthak as his gaseous form writhed with confusion. "No primitive species should possess such technology. These humans are using principles of quantum mechanics that we have not even theorized yet." Captain Sora's fighter danced between The alien ship's weapons fire like a leaf in the wind, while her own guns found their targets with deadly accuracy. Every shot she fired caused massive explosions that crippled enemy vessels. Her ship moved so fast that the alien sensors could barely track her position. More human fighters emerged from hidden bases on asteroids, moons, and space stations throughout the solar system. Each pilot flew with the same impossible skill that defied everything the aliens thought they knew about space combat. The humans did not fight like primitives, they fought like beings who had mastered the fundamental forces of the universe. General Juan coordinated the battle from his underground fortress, where holographic displays showed every ship movement in real time. His tactical computers had predicted this exact scenario and prepared countermeasures for every possible alien strategy. The Korean general had been studying galactic warfare for 50 years, and these invaders were following patterns he had seen many times before. The alien fleet found itself trapped between Earth and the asteroid belt as human forces surrounded them from all directions. Every attempt to escape was blocked by ships that appeared from nowhere and vanished before. Return fire could be targeted. It was like fighting an enemy that could see the future and move through dimensions. Commander Vextar realized his invasion force was not fighting primitive humans anymore. These beings possessed technology that made his advanced civilization look like children playing with toys. How had the Galactic intelligence networks missed such a powerful species? Captain Sora led her squadron in a coordinated attack that destroyed 3 alien cruisers in less than 10 seconds. Her ships moved in perfect formation while firing weapons that seemed to bend space around their targets. The remaining alien vessels tried to flee, but found their hyperspace drives mysteriously malfunctioning. "We are trapped," one of Vextar's officers reported in panic. "Our engines will not engage and our weapons cannot lock onto the human ships. They are jamming our systems with some kind of quantum interference. Field Queen." Zilnara screamed orders from her escape pod as she watched. Her remaining ships fall to human fighters that fought like supernatural beings. The Insect Queen had conquered dozens of worlds, but had never faced an enemy that could phase through her attacks and strike from impossible angles. Lord Morthak attempted to escape by dispersing his gaseous form across space, but found himself contained within an energy field that prevented his molecules from separating. The ancient being realized he had finally encountered something beyond his understanding. General Juan opened communication channels to the trapped alien fleet and spoke in a voice that carried the authority of 10,000 years of human civilization. "You came here to test our defenses," he said calmly. "Now we will test yours, every species that threatens. Earth will learn why humans are called the galaxy's apex predators." The surviving aliens huddled in their damaged ships while human forces surrounded them completely. Captain Sora flew victory loops around the alien flagship, while more human vessels emerged from hidden bases to join the celebration. The hunters had become the hunted, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The 2 remaining alien motherships limped toward the edge of the solar system, trailing debris and leaking atmosphere from dozens of hull breaches. Commander Vextar clutched his command chair as his flagship shuddered from internal explosions. While his crew worked frantically to repair damaged systems, the proud reptilian leader, who had conquered hundreds of worlds, now found himself running for his life from creatures he had thought were primitive animals. "Send emergency signals to all scaled Empire fleets," he ordered his communications officer. "Tell them we need immediate reinforcements at these coordinates. The humans are not what they appear to be." Lord Morthak reformed his gaseous body inside an escape pod after his mothership suffered critical systems failure. The ancient being had never experienced fear in his 10,000 years of existence, but watching human fighters phase through solid matter and fire weapons that defied physics had shaken him to his core. Captain Sora led her squadron in pursuit of the fleeing aliens, but she was not alone. Hundreds of human ships emerged from hiding places throughout the solar system, like wolves emerging from a forest to surround wounded prey. Her fighter moved with impossible grace as she coordinated the attack that would teach the galaxy a lesson they would never forget. The Korean pilot activated her ship's communication system and spoke to her fellow warriors. "Remember your training," she said in a calm voice that carried across the battle network. These aliens came here expecting to find helpless victims. Instead, they found humanity at its finest. Show them what it means to threaten. Earth General Juan watched the pursuit from his command center where quantum computers calculated the exact position of every ship in the engagement. His weathered face showed no emotion as he gave orders that sealed the fate of the alien invaders. The Korean general had spent decades preparing for this moment, and everything was proceeding according to plan. Activate the dimensional anchors, he commanded his staff. Prevent any alien vessel from entering hyperspace or using any form of faster-than-light travel. I want them trapped in normal space where our weapons can reach. Them hidden devices throughout the solar system came online, creating an invisible web of energy that locked the fabric of space-time itself. The alien ships found their escape routes blocked by technology that operated on principles their science could not comprehend. It was like being trapped in a cage made of reality itself. Commander Vexstar screamed orders at his engineering crews as his ship's hyperspace drive failed to activate. "This is impossible," he roared while slamming his claws against control panels. "No primitive species should possess the ability to manipulate dimensional barriers, Captain." Sora smiled inside her helmet as she watched the alien ships struggle uselessly against the quantum locks. Her fighter danced around the massive enemy vessels while firing precision shots that disabled their weapons and engines. The human pilot moved like she could predict every defensive maneuver before the aliens made them. Daeho monitored the battle from his laboratory beneath Seoul, where his quantum prediction device showed him every possible outcome of the engagement. The young scientist had spent years developing technology that could read probability waves in space-time itself, allowing human forces to always be one step ahead of their enemies. "The alien ships are trapped in a probability loop," he reported to General Juan. "Every escape route they attempt has already been calculated and blocked by our forces. They cannot run and they cannot fight effectively against enemies who know their every move before they make it." More human ships arrived from distant parts of the solar system, revealing the true extent of humanity's hidden military forces. Vessels emerged from asteroid bases, moon installations, and space stations that had been disguised as natural phenomena for decades. The aliens realized they had not stumbled upon a primitive world, but had walked into the heart of the advanced civilization that had been watching them all along. Queen Zilnara struggled to maintain control of her remaining warrior drones as human fighters swarmed around her damaged ship. The Insect Queen had built her reputation on lightning-fast attacks and overwhelming numbers, but the humans fought like they could see through multiple dimensions at once. Her compound eyes tracked dozens of human ships that moved in perfect coordination while firing weapons that seemed to bend the laws of physics. Every time her forces tried to counterattack, the enemy fighters simply phased out of normal space and reappeared behind her lines. Lord Morthak attempted to analyze the human technology, but his ancient mind could not comprehend what he was witnessing. These beings used quantum manipulation devices that treated matter and energy like clay to be molded at will. Their ships existed in multiple dimensional states, simultaneously making them nearly impossible to target with conventional weapons. Commander Vexstar received reports from across his fleet that painted a picture of complete defeat. Engines offline, weapons destroyed, life support failing, and worst of all, no way to call for help because the humans had somehow blocked all long-range communications. The reptilian commander who had ruled 200 star systems was about to become a prisoner of creatures he had thought were barely intelligent. General Juan opened a communication channel to the trapped alien fleet and spoke in multiple languages to ensure his message was understood. "You have Exactly 1 hour to surrender unconditionally, he said in a voice that carried the weight of absolute authority. If you refuse, you will discover why no species that has threatened humanity has ever lived to regret that decision. The surviving aliens, huddled in their damaged ships while human forces surrounded them in a sphere of deadly intent. Captain Sora flew patrol patterns around the alien vessels while her squadron mates took up positions that covered every possible escape route. The Korean pilots moved with mechanical precision that spoke of years of training for exactly this scenario. On the alien flagship Commander Vexstar studied tactical displays that showed his hopeless situation. 2 motherships against hundreds of human fighters equipped with technology that made his advanced weapons look like primitive clubs. His scales turned pale as he realized the magnitude of his mistake. The humans had not discovered faster than light travel. Recently, they had been using it. For generations, while pretending to be primitive, the radio signals Earth sent into space were not desperate attempts to contact other life. They were carefully crafted lies designed to make other species underestimate human capabilities. Lord Morthak analyzed the quantum signatures emanating from the human ships and reached a terrifying conclusion. These beings operate technology that manipulates the fundamental forces of reality itself, he told the other alien commanders. They are not primitive. They are so advanced that they have transcended the normal limitations of physics. Queen Zilnara watched her warrior drones cower in fear as human ships surrounded them with weapons that could apparently fire through solid matter and strike targets. In different dimensions, her species had conquered dozens of worlds through superior numbers and ruthless tactics, but numbers meant nothing against enemies who could be everywhere at once. The hour deadline approached as the aliens faced a choice between surrender and annihilation. Commander Vexstar looked at his damaged fleet and realized he had no options left. The humans had demonstrated technology so far beyond his understanding that resistance was not just futile, it was suicidal general. Juan smiled grimly as he watched the alien ships power down their weapons and prepare to surrender. The Korean commander had spent 50 years preparing for this moment when humanity would reveal itself to the galaxy as something far more dangerous than anyone suspected. Captain Sora received the surrender signal and felt a surge of pride in her species. The young pilot had helped deliver a message that would spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Earth was not a primitive world waiting to be conquered. It was the home of the most advanced predator species the universe had ever seen. The hunter had indeed become the hunted, and the galaxy would learn to fear the name of humanity. The great revelation had spread across the galaxy like wildfire as every major civilization discovered that their understanding of the universe had been completely wrong. Ambassador Eugen stood before the assembled representatives of 50 species. In the rebuilt council chamber of Nexus Prime, where human technology had replaced the primitive alien systems with devices that operated on principles beyond their comprehension. The Korean diplomat wore robes that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions, simultaneously, while her presence alone caused reality to bend slightly around her. She looked at the terrified alien leaders with the patience of someone explaining simple concepts to children, which in many ways was exactly what she was doing. Have lived your entire history believing you were independent civilizations exploring an empty galaxy, she said in a voice that carried across space without need for translation devices. The truth is that humanity has been guiding your development since your species first discovered fire. Every technological breakthrough, every social advancement, every expansion into space was carefully orchestrated by human intervention. Captain Sora materialized in the chamber through a dimensional gateway that opened like a door in the air itself. Her fighter pilot uniform had been replaced by the formal dress of a human admiral, complete with insignia that represented authority over fleets spanning multiple galaxies. The young Korean woman who had led the defense of Earth now commanded forces that dwarfed anything the aliens had ever imagined. General Juan appeared through another portal carrying files that documented human oversight of galactic affairs for the past 1,000,000 years. His weathered face showed the calm expression of someone who had finally been allowed to reveal truths he had kept hidden for decades. The Korean commander looked at the alien representatives with the authority of someone who had been managing their civilizations. From behind the scenes, Daeho stepped through a quantum fold in space itself, carrying devices that demonstrated human mastery over the fundamental forces of reality. His scientific equipment operated by rewriting the laws of physics at the molecular level, while his youthful appearance concealed knowledge that made alien science look like children playing with toys. The humans had prepared a demonstration to show the aliens exactly what they were dealing with. Ambassador Yujin activated a holographic display that revealed the true structure of the galaxy as humanity saw it. Every star system, every nebula, every black hole was connected by a network of human installations that had been operating for countless generations. What you call dark matter is actually our transportation system, she explained as the display showed corridors of folded space that allowed instant travel between any 2 points in the galaxy. Your scientists puzzle over mysterious energy readings because they cannot detect technology that exists in dimensions beyond your perception. Captain Sora commanded her fleet to reveal itself throughout the galaxy as human ships materialized in the space around every major alien world. The vessels appeared without warning in formations that demonstrated complete control over faster-than-light travel teleportation and dimensional manipulation. Each ship was a marvel of engineering that made alien technology look primitive by comparison. The aliens watched in growing terror as the true extent of human power became clear. Fleets that numbered in the millions appeared around their home worlds, while space stations the size of moons materialized in previously empty star systems. It became obvious that humanity had been allowing other species to exist in designated areas while maintaining absolute control over the galaxy as a whole. General Juan opened the classified files that documented every alien civilization from their earliest development to the present day. The records showed how human observers had guided each species through carefully planned encounters with technology and ideas that pushed their development in desired directions. Your people discovered faster-than-light travel because we left the necessary equations where your scientists would find them, he told the trembling alien representatives. Every major war that shaped your civilizations was influenced by human agents who ensured the outcomes served galactic stability. Your greatest heroes were often humans in disguise, teaching your people the lessons they needed to learn. The revelation that human agents had been living among alien populations for thousands of years sent shockwaves through every species represented. In the chamber, figures from their history that they considered legendary leaders or great scientists were revealed to have been human teachers, guiding their development. Daeho demonstrated the quantum manipulation technology that had allowed humans to maintain their secret control over galactic affairs. His devices could alter matter at the subatomic level, create stable wormholes through space and time, and manipulate probability itself to ensure desired outcomes. We do not conquer through force, he explained, while his equipment rewrote the molecular structure of the chamber walls. We shape reality to achieve our goals. The laws of physics that limit your technology are tools that we use to build the galaxy. We want Ambassador Yujin revealed the most shocking truth of all. Many of the species you consider extinct were not destroyed by natural disasters or wars among themselves, she said calmly. They were removed by human forces because they posed threats to galactic peace and stability. We do not allow aggressive civilizations to spread beyond their home systems. The holographic display showed the remains of dozens of militaristic species that had been eliminated over the millennia. Their worlds had been sterilized so completely that even their ruins had been erased from existence, leaving no trace that they had ever existed. The message was clear to the surviving aliens: cooperate with human authority or face the same fate, Captain Sora announced the new structure of galactic governance that would replace the illusion of independent civilizations. The Galactic Council will continue to exist, she said, but now you will openly acknowledge human authority instead of unknowingly following human guidance species that demonstrate wisdom and cooperation will be allowed to expand and prosper under our protection. General Huan explained the benefits that would come with open human rule. Advanced technology would be shared with worthy species, allowing them to achieve levels of development they could never reach alone. Worlds that had struggled with resource shortages would gain access to stellar engineering that could transform dead planets into garden worlds. The aliens began to understand that human rule offered opportunities they had never imagined possible. Diseases that had plagued their species for millennia could be cured with human medical technology that operated at the quantum level. Energy shortages would become obsolete with access to technologies that harvested power directly from stars. Deho showed them glimpses of what their civilizations could become under human guidance. Cities that existed in multiple dimensions, simultaneously, spacecraft that could travel through time itself, and biotechnology that could extend lifespans indefinitely. The possibilities were limitless for species that earned human trust, but Ambassador Eugen also made it clear what would happen to those who refused to accept the new order. Species that continued to threaten galactic peace would be dealt with permanently, she warned while her dimensional robes rippled with barely contained power. We have maintained stability in this galaxy for 1,000,000 years, and we will not allow primitive aggression to disrupt that achievement. The alien representatives faced a choice that would determine the fate of their entire civilizations. Submit to open human authority and gain access to wonders beyond their imagination, or resist and join the long list of species that had been erased from existence. Captain Sora gave them time to consider their decision, while human fleets maintained position around every major alien world. The young admiral who had once defended Earth now held the power to reshape the galaxy according to human vision. The age of hidden human rule was ending, and the era of open galactic empire was about to begin. The emergency meeting of the Galactic Council convened in chaos as reports flooded in from across the galaxy about the impossible defeat of 3 motherships by a single primitive planet. Ambassadors from dozens of species gathered in the crystal chamber of Nexus Prime while their voices rose in panicked discussions about what had happened to the invasion. Fleet Commander Vexstar stood in chains before the council, his golden armor stripped away and his proud scales scarred from the battle. The reptilian leader who had once ruled 200 star systems now trembled as he tried to explain how his powerful fleet had been destroyed by creatures the galaxy considered barely intelligent. "They are not primitive," he said, in a voice that shook with fear. "The humans possess technology that operates beyond our understanding of physics. Their ships can phase through solid matter, teleport across space, and fire weapons that predict where targets will be before they move there." The council members buzzed with disbelief and anger. Queen Zilnara clicked her mandibles nervously as she recounted how human fighters had moved like ghosts through her defenses, while Lord Morthak swirled anxiously as his gaseous form tried to explain technology that manipulated quantum reality itself. But the real shock came when the human response arrived not as a transmission from Earth, but as ships materializing inside the supposedly impenetrable defenses of Nexus Prime itself. Captain Sora led a squadron of fighters that appeared in the council chamber as if the walls and shields meant nothing to them. The alien leaders stared in horror as the human ships hovered silently above their heads, defying gravity and every security system the galaxy had ever devised. Sora removed her helmet, revealing a young Korean woman with dark eyes that held the wisdom of someone who had seen the true nature of the universe. "Greetings, Galactic Council," she said in perfect galactic standard, while her ship's weapons remained powered but not yet aimed at targets. We come not as conquerors, but as the rightful owners of this galaxy reclaiming what has always belonged to humanity." The council erupted in confusion and fear as more human ships materialized throughout. Nexus Prime Ambassador Eugen walked through the solid wall of the chamber as if it were made of air, her form shimmering slightly as she transitioned between dimensions. The Korean diplomat wore robes that seemed to bend light around them while carrying devices that made the Council's most advanced technology look like stone tools. The truth about humanity began to unfold as Eugen activated a holographic display that showed the galaxy as the aliens had never seen it before. Hundreds of star systems that they thought contained natural phenomena or ancient ruins suddenly revealed themselves as active human colonies that had been hiding in plain sight for thousands of years. "Your people call these the ghost nebulae," she said, pointing to glowing clouds of gas that had puzzled alien scientists for generations. They are actually human cities, powered by stellar engineering that harvests energy directly from stars. The mysterious signals your people have detected for centuries were not cosmic background radiation, they were human communication networks. General Huan appeared in the chamber through a dimensional portal that opened in the floor itself. The Korean commander looked at the terrified alien leaders with the calm expression of someone who had been preparing for this revelation his entire life. His uniform bore insignia that represented not just Earth, but an empire that spanned half the known galaxy. Captain Sora activated her ship scanners and displayed images of human colonies on worlds the aliens thought were uninhabited. The planet Kepler, 442b, that you classified as a dead world, she said actually contains a human city of 50 million people. The energy readings you dismissed as volcanic activity were fusion reactors powering our manufacturing centers. The aliens watched in growing horror as system after system revealed human presence that had been carefully hidden from galactic observation. Daeho appeared through another dimensional gateway, carrying equipment that analyzed the quantum signatures of every alien in the chamber. His young face showed the confidence of someone who understood forces that others could barely imagine. "We have been studying all of you for longer than your civilizations have existed," he said, while his devices recorded biological and technological data from every species present. "The crashed probe that brought us your technology 300 years ago was not an accident. We guided it to Earth, so we could learn about the current state of galactic development." Ambassador Eugen smiled as she revealed the extent of human deception. "The ancient ruins your archaeologists love to study on dead worlds are actually our research stations. The mysterious disappearances of aggressive species that your historians record as natural disasters were us removing threats to galactic peace before they could spread." The council chamber fell silent as the implications became clear. Humanity had not been hiding. On a single primitive planet, they had been orchestrating galactic events from behind the scenes for millennia. Every major discovery, every rise and fall of civilizations, every technological breakthrough had been influenced by human intervention. Lord Morthak swirled frantically as his ancient mind tried to process the revelation. "But we found your planet ourselves," he protested. "We detected your radio signals and decided to investigate. No one guided us there." General Huan laughed quietly as he accessed files that showed detailed surveillance records of every alien civilization. "You found Earth because we wanted you to find it," he explained. "Every species that poses a potential threat to galactic peace eventually receives signals that lead them to our world. It is a test to see which ones can be trusted and which ones need to be eliminated." The holographic displays showed the wreckage of dozens of alien fleets that had attacked Earth over the centuries. Each invasion had been allowed to begin and then crushed completely, while human forces studied the attackers, technology, and psychology. The galaxy was littered with the remains of species that had failed the test. Captain Sora piloted her fighter in a slow circle around the chamber while explaining the truth about human development. "We did not evolve on Earth," she said as her ship defied every law of physics the aliens understood. "We are the descendants of an ancient galactic civilization that seeded worlds across the universe millions of years ago. The revelation struck the Council like a physical blow. Humanity was not a new species, struggling to reach the stars. They were the inheritors of technology that predated every current galactic civilization. Earth had been designed to look primitive, while humans rebuilt their strength and studied the species that had emerged in their absence. Daiho activated a device that showed the quantum signatures of human technology throughout the galaxy, proving that the mysterious energy readings alien scientists had puzzled over for centuries were all products of human engineering. "The dark matter your physics cannot explain," he said, "is actually our ships moving through dimensions you have not discovered." Yet, Ambassador Yu Jin delivered the final revelation that changed everything. "The Galactic Council was never the governing body of this galaxy," she announced calmly. "You were administrators managing local affairs while the real government watched, from the shadows. Every major decision you think you made independently was guided by human influence." The alien leaders realized they had been puppets dancing to human music while believing they were the masters of their own fate. Species that had considered themselves ancient and wise were revealed as children playing games under the watchful eyes of their elders. General Huan looked at the terrified aliens with something approaching pity. "You are not our enemies," he said in a voice that carried absolute authority. "You are our children, learning to take your first steps in a galaxy that has always belonged to humanity. The age of hidden guidance is over now. You will learn to walk under direct supervision." The chamber filled with human ships as more forces revealed themselves throughout Nexus Prime. The Crystal Palace that had been the seat of galactic power was now obviously what it had always been, a meeting place for local managers to report to their true superiors. Captain Sora received confirmation that human fleets across the galaxy were simultaneously revealing themselves to shocked alien populations. Worlds that had thought themselves isolated discovered human cities in their own solar systems, while civilizations that believed they were exploring empty space found that every star system contained human observers. The galaxy belonged to humanity, and always had. The aliens were just now learning the truth. 6 months had passed since the Great Revelation, and the galaxy operated under a completely new system of government that made the old Galactic Council look like a primitive tribal gathering. Captain Sora. Now Admiral Sora stood on the bridge of her flagship watching the construction of massive space stations that would serve as administrative centers for different sectors of human-controlled space. The Korean admiral had grown into her role as commander of the Galactic Defense Fleet with grace and wisdom that impressed even veteran human officers who had been managing galactic affairs for centuries. Her tactical brilliance during the Earth defense had earned her rapid promotion to oversee the integration of former enemy species into the human empire. The bridge of her flagship operated on principles that would have been impossible for the old alien council to understand. Quantum computers calculated the movement of billions of ships across multiple galaxies, while dimensional scanners monitored every corner of space for potential threats. The vessel itself existed in several realities at once, allowing it to be everywhere and nowhere. As tactical situations demanded, General Huan had been promoted to Supreme Commander of Galactic Integration, and now oversaw the peaceful transformation of former alien territories into productive human provinces. His headquarters existed in a pocket dimension that could be accessed from any point in the galaxy, allowing him to personally manage the development of thousands of worlds simultaneously. The Korean general looked at reports from across his territory with satisfaction as species after species adapted to human rule better than their leaders had expected. Former enemies now worked alongside human administrators to build civilizations that surpassed anything they could have achieved independently. Worlds that had been barren wastelands 6 months ago now bloomed with life thanks to human terraforming technology that could reshape entire planets in a matter of weeks. Species that had struggled with overpopulation found themselves relocated to custom-built worlds designed specifically for their biological needs. Daiho had established research centers throughout the galaxy where human scientists worked with their alien counterparts to develop new technologies that combined the best ideas from multiple species. His quantum manipulation devices had been scaled up to operate on planetary levels, allowing the creation of artificial worlds with any desired characteristics. The young Korean scientist smiled as he watched alien researchers struggle to understand concepts that human children learned in primary school, but their enthusiasm was encouraging, and some of the brightest alien minds were beginning to grasp the basics of dimensional engineering and quantum biology. Ambassador Yujin had become the primary liaison between humanity and the dozens of species that had chosen to submit to human authority. Her diplomatic skills were crucial in managing the delicate process of integrating civilizations that had been enemies for thousands of years into a unified galactic empire. The Korean diplomat traveled between worlds in a ship that existed in multiple time streams, simultaneously allowing her to attend dozens of meetings across the galaxy without any scheduling conflicts. Her presence at negotiations often helped resolve disputes that might have taken years to settle through traditional diplomacy. The transformation of the galaxy had been remarkable to witness. Species that had been locked in perpetual warfare for millennia now cooperated on joint projects that benefited everyone involved. The constant threat of military conflict had been replaced by peaceful competition to see which civilizations could contribute most effectively to the human empire. Former Queen Zilnara had become governor of the insect territories and proved surprisingly effective at managing the transition of her warrior culture into a peaceful civilization. Her natural organizational skills translated well to administrative duties, while her former soldiers found new purpose as construction workers building the infrastructure of the new Galactic. Order Commander Vexstar had been given a choice between execution and service as a regional administrator for the reptilian sectors. The former military leader chose service and discovered he had a talent for managing complex civilian projects. His experience with large-scale logistics proved invaluable in organizing the resettlement of millions of refugees from war-torn worlds. Lord Morthak had requested assignment to the Scientific Corps, where his ancient knowledge could be combined with human technology to explore previously impossible research projects. The gaseous being found new purpose in studying the quantum foundations of reality under human guidance. The success stories were not limited to former enemies, as willing allies had prospered beyond their wildest dreams. Species that had embraced human authority immediately found themselves elevated to positions of responsibility within the new galactic government. Their worlds became showcases of what could be achieved. Through cooperation with human technology, Admiral Sora received regular reports about the expansion of human civilization into previously unexplored regions of the galaxy. Automated ships spread across empty star systems, establishing the infrastructure needed to support future colonization, while dimensional scanners searched for signs of other intelligent species that might need guidance. The Korean admiral took particular pride in the development of the Galactic Academy, where young beings from dozens of species learned to work together using human educational methods that emphasized cooperation and shared problem-solving. Students who had grown up hearing stories about eternal enemies between their peoples now collaborated on projects that would benefit the entire galaxy. General Huan oversaw the establishment of the galactic justice system that replaced the chaotic legal frameworks that had governed different species with a unified code based on human principles of fairness and rehabilitation. Rather than punishing criminals, the new system focused on understanding the causes of antisocial behavior and correcting them through education and therapy. The transformation of galactic society had eliminated many of the problems that had plagued civilizations for thousands of years. Poverty became obsolete when human technology could provide unlimited resources, while diseases that had killed billions were cured through quantum medical techniques that repaired damage at the cellular level. Deho announced the completion of his greatest project, the Galactic Communication Network, that allowed instant translation and transmission of information between any 2 points in known space. The system operated by manipulating quantum entanglement on a scale that connected every inhabited world in a web of shared knowledge and understanding. The network made possible new forms of art and entertainment that combined the cultural traditions of dozens of species into experiences that transcended the limitations of any single civilization, music that existed in multiple dimensions, simultaneously literature that adapted itself to the psychology of each reader, and visual arts that could be perceived differently by beings with various sensory capabilities. Ambassador Eugen organized the first Galactic Cultural Festival, where representatives from every species under human protection gathered to share their traditions and learn from each other. The event took place on a specially constructed world that could accommodate the environmental needs of hundreds of different life forms simultaneously. The festival demonstrated how much the galaxy had changed in just 6 months, as beings who had been enemies less than a year ago worked together to create celebrations that honored their diversity while emphasizing their share.